This is the Bigger Pockets Podcast, show 233.
You're listening to Bigger Pockets Radio, simplifying real estate for investors large and small. If you're here looking to learn about real estate investing without all the hype, you're in the right place. Stay tuned and be sure to join the millions of others who have benefited from BiggerPockets.com, your home for real estate investing online.
What's going on, everybody? This is Josh Dorkin, host of the Bigger Pockets Podcast, here with my co-host, Mr. Brandon Turner. What's up, man?
Hey, not a whole lot. What's up with you?
Dude, I'm really happy to see you back in your lumberjack wear, man. It's you got the red Paul Bunyan thing happening.
The Paul Bunyan thing. I got my Babe the Blue Ox here.
Yeah, man.
It's good.
Looking sharp.
Yeah,
sharp.
Well, thank you. Is that like I don't normally look sharp? Is that what you're saying?
I
know what you're saying.
I make no comment on such things.
My mom thinks I look handsome. My wife likes me, so that's all I need in life.
That is all that you need. I'm meaningless in the whole scheme of things.
That's pretty true. What about you? What have you been up to?
Wow. I'm doing all right, man. We actually did a really fun thing last night. Brought the entire Bigger Pockets team, their families, kids, and some friends out to the ball game. We went to watch the Colorado Rapids play the LA Galaxy, and the Rapids unfortunately got schooled, but it was fun.
It was. I had a lot of fun. Oh wait, that's right. That's right. I didn't get invited.
You weren't invited.
I didn't get that memo.
Yeah. You know what? Here's what happens. So when you invite people once, twice, thrice, 4 times, and each time, I'm not coming. I'm not coming.
2,000 miles for a ball game is a little far away. Is it baseball?
Soccer.
Oh, okay.
At some point, football, some call it. At some point, we stop inviting those people to join us, and so there you go.
When I'm in Denver next, I will come hang out at a soccer football game with you. We'll have fun.
That would be amazing.
All right.
So
speaking of amazing, today's show is amazing.
We got a good show. We definitely got a good show today for sure. This show is we've got somebody else who dove into the business. Bigger Pockets played an integral role, and in 18 months, in her first 18 months, she knocked out 15 deals, which is crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. Really, really motivating for those of you looking for some motivation. And the part about the show I liked the best was the discussion about having a strong why. Yep. We really dove in on why should I do this? What am I trying to accomplish? What am I looking to do? And, helping you figure out what your own why is too, because a lot of people will get into real estate or anything else and they'll just start doing without thinking. Right. Yep. And they forget, like, what am I actually in this for? Because, we do that in our jobs. We do that in all sorts of parts of our life. And I think it's really important for everybody to stop and really think about that, because it does drive decisions that we all make. Anyway, great show. Before we dive in, this is show 233, the Bigger Pockets Podcast. You can check out the show notes at BiggerPockets.com/show 233. And before moving on, why don't we get to today's quick tip?
You want it?
All right, today's quick. Yeah, sure. Right, today's quick tip. We have redesigned the Bigger Pockets bookstore. Yeah, we've got a bookstore on Bigger Pockets. We sell lots of titles like the book on rental property investing.
Best book ever written.
Oh, wow. Well then, Set for Life by Scott Trench.
Second best book ever written.
The book on flipping houses from Jay Scott. We've got all these great titles. Amanda Hahn's book on taxes. Lots and lots of really, really good books.
Let's not forget Heather Turner, the most beautiful woman in the world.
Yeah.
Her book.
Yeah, you're making this a really long, quick tip because of your lovely wife, but that's fine.
Yeah,
Anyway, we've redesigned the bookstore. If you're looking to get your hands on some awesome real estate and personal finance related books, check out BiggerPockets.com/store. That's BiggerPockets.com/store. And make it happen.
All right. I will make it happen. Let's get to the show. As usual, we would invite you guys, if you've not yet left a rating or review in iTunes, please do so. That helps us out more than you know. And Josh will personally drive to your house and give you a hug if you do that. So,
Brandon, that's false advertising. I don't like people. I don't.
That's true. That's true. You don't hug. Yeah,
Although,
you do like the hug and then the reach around, little squeeze. That's a little weird.
no, reach around is a whole nother conversation, man. It's kind of inappropriate for a family show, but
Keep it a PG.
yes. You know what was cool last night at the game? So we had a sign in our.
I want to know how that transitions to this at the game.
I'm really good at this. We had a picnic area, so we had this whole area, and it had our name, BiggerPockets, on it, reserved, and we're all hanging out, and some guy walks up, and he's like, "Hey!" And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "You're Josh. You're Josh." Yes. Oh man. This is amazing. Yeah, he was a big fan of the BiggerPockets podcast. We brought him into our picnic area, introduced him to Scott, introduced him to Mindy. He was chatting it up with everybody. But yeah, a huge fan, getting into real estate. And I don't know, it's so fun. It's always cool to be like out in the world and having listeners kind of stop by, say hello, and tell us their story. So yeah, if you are a listener and you run across Brandon Turner
out in the woods,
do me a favor. Take a can of shaving cream, spray it in his face. No, don't do that. That's assault.
That is assault. You can't assault. You can't assault people. It's just not right.
No, yeah. Please don't do that. Anyway, all right, we got a good show. Let's get this thing going. Today's guest is Arianne Lemire. I'm going to butcher her name. I know she's going to correct me later. But Arianne, as I talked about, 15 deals, 18 months. Great guest. Let's bring her in. Arianne, welcome to the show. It's good to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, this should be a lot of fun today. So you saw, we posted in the BiggerPockets forums that we were looking for some BP success stories to bring on the podcast and tell their story, and you responded to that. So apparently you've done some cool stuff in the last few years, so that's what we're going to dig in on today. Why don't we start, though, before that success? I mean, what is your background? How'd you get, walk us through the first years of your life before real estate, and then how'd you get into real estate?
Okay, so I was actually born in the Philippines. I lived in New Zealand for about 6 years, and then I moved here about 3 years ago. So I really didn't know I would be here and doing this way back when. So when I moved here, I just graduated from grad school. I started my first job, and I really was kind of trapped after. Like in that first year, I didn't really think I could do that for the rest of my life. And I just started looking for ways to get out, really.
Yeah.
Got it.
What were you doing, by the way, job-wise, just out of curiosity?
I was a speech and language pathologist.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
And so how did that turn into real estate?
So pretty much after the first few months, I didn't really want to do that. And my husband and I just started looking for ways to retire early, essentially. So our first plan was to just save up our way to retirement. And that was going to take us like a couple decades.
Yep.
So that was a no-go. And then somehow I think I just started Googling and somehow found the BiggerPockets website. And you guys were talking about how you can make all these cool returns on real estate and things like that. And then I watched one of your webinars, Brandon. I think I watched a few. And really that's where it all started. We realized we could make so much more in term return-wise versus the stock market and CDs and things like that. And so that's where it all began.
That's awesome. Wow. By the way, I did not know you were a webinar attendee. That's pretty awesome. It makes me feel pretty darn good. Which, of course, people can sign up for webinars.
Don't boost his ego any more than it needs to be.
I'm using this to boost BiggerPockets a little bit. Come to a webinar, people. Listen how awesome it is. BiggerPockets.com/webinar. We do numerous webinars a week now, which is kind of fun. So anyway, all right. So walk us through your very first deal. I mean, getting into that first deal, tell us how did that happen? And what was it?
So our very first deal was a foreclosure auction, not on the county steps, but I think it was one of the websites. I think it was homesearch.com. Now they're called XOME. So we bid on a property. Oh, before this, I actually had gotten my real estate license. We tried a few agents in the beginning, and it just didn't work out. So I got my license and started looking for things on the MLS, and then we came across that auction. So we went inside, we bid on it. I think we won it for $50,000. And the very next week, we had it appraised. It was worth like $85,000.
Wow.
So we actually bought it with cash and used the delayed financing exemption to pull all our cash out. So that's how we were able to I guess, start so quickly.
Can you explain
Yeah, I
that
was
the
going to ask,
delayed?
what is that exactly?
Yeah, I don't know what the delayed financing exemption is. I've never heard that.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
that's
teach me.
okay. So basically, there's a Fannie Mae exemption where if you buy a property for cash, you can finance right away as long as it meets certain criteria. So I think it's like 70 or 75% of the loan to value. So like for that the first property we bought, for example, it appraised for 85. So whatever 70 or 75% of that, we could pull it right out. So I think that happened in the first 4 weeks.
Really?
And I actually learned about that from BiggerPockets. I was reading, I think, one of the success stories posted by Bill Allen, who's one of my mentors and was a guest in your show, I think, a year ago. But he posted that, and I didn't know it existed until that post. And the lender who I used was actually from BiggerPockets too. So there we go.
I will tell you, I've been around BiggerPockets for a couple of years now. Never heard of such a thing. Had no idea this existed. Yeah, it's fantastic. Delayed financing exemption. It's a Fannie Mae exemption. Obviously, there's some conversations on BiggerPockets about it. So if you guys want to learn more, jump on the site, ask questions. I'm sure folks like Arianne can jump in and answer how the process went and things like that.
And let me explain real quick why this is awesome, and I did not know about it. Why this is so cool.
This is amazing.
So, this is really cool because normally when you buy a property, you have to wait usually at least 6 months to a year in order to refinance it. So let's say I go. This is especially important for BRRRR investing, where you buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. Is I go and buy a property. Like in fact, an hour ago, I was signing for a property. I cannot refinance this property for 6 months, and sometimes banks make me wait a whole year before being able to refinance. But apparently there's an exemption that I did not even know of, so I need to definitely look into this. This is cool.
For this, you can actually do it in 4 to 6 weeks. I think our lender actually pulled it off in 4. So we bought it December 2015, and we were able to pull all our cash out within 4 weeks.
Now, is the exemption solely based on paying cash for the property?
Yes, and I've seen other people who had private loans do it too, and you can do it with a HELOC too. Wow. So it's a great way to buy properties fast.
Yeah, this needs to be a chapter. Someday when I write the book on BRRRR investing, which who knows when that'll be, but when that comes out, that's got to be a chapter in there. This is very cool. All right, so very, very cool kind of strategy. And again, if people are into BRRRR investing, you can learn more about it by going to biggerpockets.com/BRRRR. It's 4 R's, BRRRR. It's my favorite strategy. But besides that, so you got this first deal at an auction. Now, not like you said, not courthouse steps, but just normal auction. So I'm wondering, like, what was that like, that experience? Do you recommend that for other people? Should they be looking at online auction sites as well as a first-time investor, or did you just get lucky?
Yeah, I really like online auction sites, and I think since then I've bought maybe 4 from that particular auction site. But it's great because you can actually go into the properties assuming they're vacant. And it's like a normal deal, except you just pretty much bid. So there's not multiple offers, and you know if you win because you're going to be the highest bidder.
Yeah.
And cool. And presumably, like at a traditional auction, you have to pay cash, or?
No, you can actually finance it. I think when we won, we actually said we were going to finance it, and then changed it, and we just paid cash because we found out about that delayed financing option thing.
Okay.
Got it. And go ahead, Brandon.
I was gonna say, you know, what'd be super helpful is maybe I'll do this today or when this episode comes out, or over on the forums. Why don't we start a forum thread and have people just share like what auction sites they know of? That'd be kind of a cool forum thread, is where we can all just like the one you just named, and I know there's like auction.com and William and Mitchell, I think it's called.
Williams and Williams.
Yeah. Like there's all these different auction sites. It'd be cool to kind of list them in a big thread. So we'll do that. Make sure you guys check out the show notes at biggerpockets.com/show234. And either I or Mindy or Josh or one of us will start a thread talking, asking for people's input. So anyway, check that out because I'd love to get a master list of all these sites. So very cool.
Awesome. So you had talked about getting your license. Why did you decide to go ahead and get your license before? And you said this was before actually getting started as an investor. So why did you make that decision? And was it the right decision? What did it help you with? What downsides were there?
Yeah, it was for me. I guess the downside is instead of having another member of your team, it's you. So it was my time invested in finding the properties and looking at the properties and things like that. But when I started, I also had a full-time job, and I found that with the agents I was working with, it was hard to coordinate showings when I could go and my husband could go and they could go. Because they try to work during normal business hours, and I can only go during non-normal business hours. So it helped a lot for me. It also helped me learn valuations a lot quicker. So having access to the MLS, I know on Zillow and Redfin you can see what it's sold for, and sometimes you can see pictures, but it helped me a lot to be able to see all of the comps and all of the pictures. So I know that, okay, this house sold for $100,000, but what did it look like? And if I see that it's not renovated, then it helped me realize that, well, if it was renovated, it's probably going to sell for this. And then I see this renovated comp and it's sold for 150, and I realize, okay, ARV is actually higher.
Now, do you then recommend new investors get their license? Do you think that's valuable for them to do, or is it kind of on a case by case?
I think it depends, and I know that's a question, an answer nobody likes to hear, but it depends on what you actually want to do. So for me, I realized that we were definitely going to buy a lot of properties or sell a lot of properties, and it just made sense at that time. But if you're more wanting to be like a passive investor and you maybe want to buy one property a year, I suggest not, because it's probably going to be a wash at that point. But if you're at least going to buy two, or if you're thinking of flipping, then definitely get your license.
Very cool.
That's great.
So what happened with that house? I mean, did you end up keeping it as a rental, or did you flip it, or what?
Yeah. So, well, I call it a rental, but we're actually living in that house. So it's the house you see right now.
Oh, nice.
So we use the delayed financing exemption, but it's actually our primary residence.
Okay.
So we could have just used a 3% down loan as well.
Okay. Cool. So you live in the property now. So then what came after that? You've got your primary house that you got a really good deal on. You now have equity in it, and you're ready to start investing in something else. Tell us about that.
Yes. So within the next few weeks, we actually got a short sale under contract. And as you know, short sales aren't usually short, but this one actually was. So we got it under contract December of 2015 and actually closed on it, I think, the beginning of February of the next year, 2016.
Wow.
That's pretty fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we used the same cash that we pulled out of the first property to buy that for cash, and then use the delayed financing again. So I think we bought that for 72, and it appraised for 133 in the next week. So we pulled out all of the 72 out. It came with a tenant, so it was cash flowing. It was great, and then we still had the cash.
Arianne, what market are you in? Where I don't think we asked that. Where do you live?
Yeah.
I'm actually in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. People will know Destin, Florida, which is just 15 minutes away from us.
Okay.
Got it. And are you investing in that market?
Yes.
Okay.
So I invest from Navarre to Destin.
And is that Northern California? Or is
Florida.
that Panhandle?
Northwest Florida.
Did I say California?
You did.
Yeah, well, when you're old, things happen. Things come out.
Yes, so we are in
I'm not gonna
Northwest
go there.
Florida. Panhandle.
Okay. So many jokes I want to make there, but we're gonna move on. So
This is a family show.
Family show. So enough about Josh getting old and things coming out. So you appraised for 133 right afterwards, and you paid 72. How did you find that deal? Did you say that it was a short sale, but how did you find it? Just MLS?
Just the MLS. I think it was listed for 100. They actually put in an offer for 60 that they accepted, but the bank wouldn't take it, so we ended up at 72.
Wow. And still 100 down to 72 is still pretty amazing. Like, I don't know. So many people are afraid of making offers, but like, I don't know. You're not going to get a yes if you don't make some offers.
Yeah, it's just a numbers game.
Yep.
Submit as many offers as you can, and you'll get some of them accepted.
There you go. I say that all the time. Like, it's a gigantic funnel. Just make some offers.
Well, you try until you succeed. You don't want to pay more than you think it's worth. I mean, if paying 100 was paying more than you thought it was worth, then don't offer 100. And if the price climbs up to 100 and you still don't think it's worth 100, walk.
Yep.
Don't chase things, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's pretty simple.
Yeah. And that's one thing I love about real estate is that, like, real estate is not a yes or no game. It's not like, will you buy that house? Yes or no. It's more of like, what's that house worth? I mean, every single property in the world has a number that makes it worthwhile. Now, that number might be negative. I'm sure you guys have seen properties that, like, somebody couldn't pay you to buy that house, but they still have a number, right? Like, every house has a number. So your job as an investor is just to go find that number, figure out what makes sense to you, and make them an offer. And if they take it, great. If not, move on to the next one. Keeps all the emotion kind of at bay, at least for the most part. So cool. All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Good
So
advice.
so you're buying in the Florida Panhandle. You bought that property. What did you end up doing with that short sale?
Yep.
So that was actually that was a rental. We actually sold it this year. But it was renting. It had a tenant that came with it who was paying $975. So we kept them, and they were happy with the place. So it cash flowed great because we pulled all of our money out. I think I posted on BiggerPockets when that happened, and it was like an outrageous cash return because we didn't have any money in it.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Why did you end up selling that? Because you only bought it last year. So why sell it?
Yeah, well, so after those two first rental properties, our shift kind of changed to flipping and wholesaling. So the third property, which we bought just, I think, a month after those two, was a rental that needed more work than the first two. So the first two were pretty much rent ready. One was move-in ready, and then the second one came with a tenant and was happy with how it was. And the third property needed about $20,000 worth of work. It needed some new siding, flooring, and paint. And so we only had that amount of cash, whatever we pulled out. And we realized, so if we buy this with cash and then put some more money in, like we'll tie up more than we want to in the property because we can't pull out more than what we pay for it. So we ended up flipping that, and we made, I think, $40,000 on that first flip.
Wow. And
since then, we've mainly been flipping properties.
So why the shift? Why the shift from you started with rentals, shifted over? Is it just because of you could make more income?
It was mainly because of, I guess, my why. So I mentioned earlier that when we started, I felt trapped. And it really was that. So my family live overseas, so they live in New Zealand. And with my job, I couldn't really get time off. I mean, we have PTO and things like that, but I couldn't have anybody cover me, so I couldn't actually take it. So I just couldn't really do that anymore. So I was more focused on developing some active income, which was flipping, as opposed to buying however many rentals I needed to actually quit my job in the first place. So I think it just boiled down to my why, and why wait until I have enough rentals if I can do it right now.
So for you, this was a velocity thing. You wanted to, had you continued to buy rental property at some point, call it a year, 2 years, 4 years, whatever it is, you would have gotten to the point where you had the income coming in from those properties to start doing the things that you wanted to do, like travel to see your family. But because you decided that you wanted to do that today and you did not want to delay that gratification, you changed your strategy so that with a flip you can get more of a return more quickly, theoretically, and instead of waiting for that to come in on smaller chunks month by month, so you can go and do your thing. Is that kind of a fair rehash?
Yeah, pretty much. And I've always been big on delayed gratification. I think I've always had that in me. Yeah. And I just realized that, I'm not going to do it for this particular season in my life for that particular purpose. I want to see my family soon.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Brandon.
No, thank you. I was going to say, one thing that's cool about real estate then, obviously, is that you can choose the different path to get closer to your why. The fact that you had a goal, a thing you wanted to do was get out of your job soon. I mean, some people don't want to leave their job for 20 years. Well, great. There is a great real estate strategy for you. And then some people want to quit their job yesterday. There's a great real estate strategy for you. And some 10 years from now, 5 years from now, I don't know, that there's a lot of things that fire me up about real estate, but that's one of my favorite things is that you can define, you can build your path based on where you're headed. But so many people don't know where they're headed, right? You knew where you wanted to be. But if you ask most people in the world, where are you headed? I don't know. I think Dancing with the Stars is on tonight, right? That's about as far as most people plan.
Wow, you just lost 98% of our audience.
Sorry, The Bachelor is on tonight, and that's as far as I'm planning.
And you just lost my mom.
But I do agree, and I think that's a lot of people ask me for advice. We actually host a meetup group locally and things like that.
Nice.
That we advertise on BiggerPockets. But anyway, so people ask, what should I do? And I always ask, well, what do you want? And sometimes they'll respond with something that's not really what they want. You know what I mean? They might say, I want passive income. I want financial freedom. But really, at the root of that, what is it that you actually want? For me, it was I want to see my family at least once a year.
Yeah.
And this got me there. So what is it that you want?
So how do we help people get there, right? I mean, a lot of people are searching for money, right? That's, I'm getting into real estate because I want to make money. A lot of people work a job because I need money to survive. What you're suggesting, and by the way, I agree, is people should have a cause above and beyond just money, right? Money is not an end. Money is a means to an end. At least I believe that. I think a lot of people would concur, and pretty much all my former friends back in New York would disagree. You know, money back east, money's the end, right? Oh, I want to be rich, cool, but you work, 18-hour days and have no life. You're suggesting the why is the end goal, happiness. Hey, I want to travel, twice a year to see family, or I want to, start living my bucket list today, or something to that, right?
Yes, definitely. I think a lot of people get stuck, and I think I did that in the beginning too. Kind of get stuck on like a number. Maybe it's like a retirement number or a net worth number, and that's good. You want to plan. You want to know that you can pay for bills and be able to live your life. But also, I think people need to spend some time to think about what is underlying that. What is behind that number? Like, what do you want to achieve when you get that? And I think sometimes people forget that because it takes that long to get to that number.
For sure. So I want to just jump to something very obvious. You are a female, and
wow, good job, Josh.
Yeah,
he's pretty perceptive.
Smart.
He's a smart guy. I
am smart. We try very hard to get as many female investors on the show as possible, because I think it's definitely an call it underserved demographic. I mean, our data on BiggerPockets shows that probably less than 30% of investors are women, potentially a lot less than that, and I think that's ridiculous. So, do you see any challenges? Have you had any challenges as a female investor? And if so, what have you done to overcome them?
Yes, and I just try to use it to my advantage, I guess.
Nice.
So in the early phases, I would meet with contractors and things like that, and they would say something like, "Hey, did you ask your husband?" Or, do you need to talk to your husband about this? And I would just say, "Yeah, actually, you know what? Yeah, give me your bid, and I'll just talk to my husband." And really, in negotiation, like, you get the upper hand if you can come back later.
Yeah.
So I just try to use it to my advantage instead of be annoyed.
Yeah.
It seems like that, of every time we ask that question, Brandon, and tell me if I'm wrong, but like, it seems like that's always the common theme is it's usually an issue with contractors and nothing else. And it's, just the chauvinistic industry, right?
Yeah. And I mean, when you do go to like RIAs or events, it is mostly men there. So you do feel kind of left out, I guess, if there's not any other females, but I think you just get used to it. And actually, in our meetups right now, there's quite a few female investors, so I'm happy about that.
What would you say to all the females that are listening to the show right now, who are thinking about getting started but are intimidated? Like, I don't want to deal with these chauvinistic jerks, and I don't want to deal with any of the drama that may come because I'm a female. How would you tell them to kind of get through that nonsense?
Well, how strong is your why, right? Why are you doing this? And there's going to be people who don't like you because you're female, or because you're short, or because you're from another country, or whatever, right? But you kind of just have to do it for your reasons, and eventually they'll come to respect you and realize that, you're a person who's successful.
There you go. Yeah, don't ever let anyone get in your way. Just do what you need to do to build for your family, and if there's people who get in the way, move on to the next folks. I mean, you don't need to work with people who are going to behave that way. You don't need to deal with it. So, awesome. All right. Well, before we kind of start to move towards the next section of the show, how many deals have you done so far?
Actually wrote it down. I think we've done 10 flips, 11 wholesales, and those 2 rentals.
Wow.
And we have 5 active flips right now, and 6 more in the pipeline that we're not sure if we're going to wholesale or flip.
Wow.
How,
that's a lot of deals.
That is a lot of deals, especially at one time. Like right now, you're like, it seems like you've taken it up a notch this year. Does that be a?
And we're not like 5 years in either. This is year 2, correct?
Yes, we started in December of 2015, so we're about a year and a half in.
Wow.
So how did you pick up the pace this year? Like, how are you doing so many right now?
So this year, the focus has been on building a team. Right now, in the beginning, it was just me and my husband, right? And then now we have about 3 team members who work with us. So the only reason I can sit here and talk to you guys and have 5 flips going is because I have a project manager who manages the projects.
Nice.
And we have marketing campaigns. So I have somebody who's answering the phones right now, and I have somebody, meeting sellers. So that's been the focus, and the machine isn't, up and running and perfect yet.
Sure.
But we're working on it.
All right. So you mentioned marketing, so you must be doing some kind of lead generation. What's that look like for your business?
Yeah. So the end of last year, we actually started some direct mail campaigns.
Okay. What are you doing? Letters, postcards?
Postcards.
Postcards. Okay. And you're getting
They're
good
cheaper.
response. They are cheaper. Yes. Like, I debated between the two. I have not done postcards. I've only done letters, but because I figure I get a better response rate with the letters, but it's way cheaper for the postcards. Have you tried both, or have you just gone the one?
I think in the beginning we tried letters when we were still printing it out and sending it out ourselves. But postcards were just like half the price, and really the response rates were about the same, maybe just slightly less. And we found that the leads were about the same. Like, we'll get the same amount of appointments, let's say, compared to more calls and the same amount of appointments.
I see. Okay. So maybe less tire kickers, but the same number of people that are motivated are calling you. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think so.
Very cool. All right. So you're doing direct mail marketing. You now have somebody answering the phone calls, which I think is awesome. Like, we talk about this a lot here on the show, but there's so many things that investors should do that most of the time we don't. Like, I know that I should send out a certain number of letters every month. I know I should answer all those phone calls. I should do a certain number of appointments, make a certain number of offers. But at the end of the day, The Bachelor's on TV tonight, right? So I go and watch that, right? So what I'm getting at is, when you have other people do those things for you, like you hire those people, it doesn't have to be a full-time job. When you hire other people to do that, those things start getting done, because now it's not your responsibility, it's a worker's responsibility to get it done. And I think that's when your business really begins to scale, as you're seeing in your business right now.
Yes, and then now you're managing people instead of you doing it, so you can actually see it. Instead of being a piece on the chessboard, you can see the chessboard and see where things need to happen and what you need to pull back or what you need to put in to make everything work better.
I like that.
Love
Instead
that.
of being that's awesome. Instead of being a piece on the chessboard, you're now looking at the chessboard. Is that what you said? I like that.
Well, now you're the human who's moving the pieces versus being a piece that's kind of moving. I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's akin to working on your business instead of working in your business, right? And we've talked about that a lot. But I think that's a great analogy. Great analogy. Cool. All right. So before we move on here, tell us, let's say, one of your best deals and one of your worst.
Okay, let's start with the worst. I think that was my second deal that was our fourth deal, actually. Our second flip. So our first flip was pretty much cosmetic. So it was real easy. Our second flip, we decided to take down some walls and some load-bearing walls, and it was like a huge rehab, like a $50,000 rehab. And we hired a general contractor. It was our first time hiring a general contractor, which came from a recommendation from a friend. And it really did not work out. The general contractor ended up, I think he took 50% upfront, and it was really hard to get most of that back. He pretty much messed up, like in the beginning. He hung cabinets with 2x4s. Like, he put 2x4s and drilled the cabinets onto 2x4s.
That's weird.
Yes. Yes. And his answer was, when I asked him about that, he said, "Oh, that's how we've always done it in the past 20 years." So yeah. So anyway, we fired him, but
so I've always been a jackass. It's great.
So we fired him, but we were $20,000 in. And there we are. So we pretty much had to redo a lot of the work he did. So we were, $10,000 over budget and 2 months behind schedule. So I think we ended up breaking even on that one.
Got it.
But I think so far in my real estate journey, that's been my tuition.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
particular.
Yep.
On that breaking even, I mean, I'm not going to say you screwed up, but you had all these problems. You had time delays, you had manpower delays, and you still ended up breaking even, which for a lot of newbies, they would have been in a lot of trouble. They would have been upside down likely if they didn't know how to evaluate the property, how to buy it at a reasonable enough price. And so kudos to you for that, right? I mean, that's a good deal. You walk away, your hands are clean, right?
Right. Yes. And yeah, if your first deal is a flip, I suggest this for newbies, right? Start with a cosmetic flip, maybe cosmetic plus a roof or cosmetic plus an HVAC, but don't try to remove walls and all that kind of crazy stuff on your first one, because so many things can go wrong. And this was just one example of something that did, but I also have other stories that I could share on another date. But try to start with something that's more manageable, that there won't be that many surprises. Because like Josh said, yes, we broke even, but you could lose like $20,000.
I've been there.
Great advice.
Yeah. All right. Well, a couple more questions for you before we move on to the fire round. First one, I like this question. I want to ask this more often. I just always forget. And I won't even define what exactly I mean by this, but I just want to know what you think I mean. What's working really well for you right now?
In terms of like deal finding?
However you want to answer that question, what's working really well for you right now? I'll let you decide the direction, because you can take any approach. Yeah, what's working great?
Well, this year I've decided to surround myself with people who are either at where I want to be in the near future or are on their way to get there. And that's been great. Like in this business, I feel like it's a roller coaster, and you get punched in the face so many times, and you just kind of have to get up. And it helps when you have people who are in that phase in their business too, or have just been there, to kind of talk to and say, hey, this happened. Hey, this contractor just sucked. Or, hey, I just lost $10,000 on something, right? And they can say, that happens, you learn from it. Just, this is what you can do, if they can give you advice. But really just having somebody there who can give you some advice or even just listen to you, like, it's amazing.
I love it.
It's great.
I love it. Isn't that a cool question, though? Just I let people
leave
it open-ended.
It would have been cooler if somebody else asked it, but whatever.
All right, why don't you ask the next question, Josh, and then we'll see how you do.
Wow. Okay.
I'm judging you here.
Well,
Watch me. Look at my judgy eyes right here.
All right, here we go. Ready? Hold on. Let me stretch. I got this.
Yeah, you got this. Let's see it.
All right. Arianne, you ready? This is huge.
Okay.
Where are you headed in the future? Where are you going? What's next? What's the plan? But because you are now obviously going and doing your thing, your why to visit your family, I'm assuming, is being met. So, do you just kind of go status quo so you can do that and kind of live, or how do you expand the business, or just kind of keep it going?
Yeah, so what's next is really just finding the right people for the right places in my business. And just making sure we work together great. Right now, we have some great people, and I still need to train them a lot better. I guess the thing with having a business is you fire yourselves from certain positions, and then now you're elevated to something else. And that just comes with so much more learning. Like, I feel like in the last year and a half, I've learned so much more about really myself than I have about other people, and how usually when some things go wrong, it's really me. And it's really something that I need to change about myself so that the business can grow. So that's where I'm at right now. And I'm growing as a business owner and a manager. And where I see myself in the future, this is something I discussed with our team members and my husband recently. But we want to be at a place where the company can give $1 million a year to various charities. So right now we're not there yet. Sure. But that's where we want to be. So that's the big goal. And like you said, Josh, like, our needs are kind of met now, right? Like, really, in the beginning, when we first heard about real estate, all I wanted to do was be able to see my family. But now that need's met. So now we're hoping to give back and really just, like, do something for other people. Because, I mean, I don't really want to be stagnant. Like, if I'm just still, it's like, well, it's kind of boring.
Yeah. That's a pretty good
that.
why. $1 million a year to give to charity. I love it.
Yeah. And
Unbelievable.
I love how your why, I mean, because whys change, right? Your initial why is going to be different than what your why is 5 years from now, maybe. And that's okay. Like, but when you continually develop that why and work on it, like, you're never going to be bored, or you're never going to be, burned out, I guess, because you've got something to fight for. I think that's cool.
Yeah, and it's like when I mentioned surrounding myself with other people, and I have people who are doing so much more than I am in terms of the business, and I see them still striving to get better. Yep. And it's just amazing to be with people like that, and I want to be that too. So I always want to strive to be better, a better person, a better business owner, and just continue going.
Fantastic.
I love it. Well, hey, let's shift gears now. I know we could talk forever on this stuff, but you've got a ton of experience and advice just in the last couple of years. I think it's awesome. It just goes to show, like, you don't have to be doing this business for 20 years before you can scale up to that point. Like, you're doing this and crushing it, and you've been doing this for a year and a half. So anybody listening to this show that's like, I want to get out of my job in the next few years, rewind this whole episode, listen to it again. But before you do that, let's get to the rest of these questions and head over to today's fire round.
It's time for the fire round.
All right, today's fire round. These questions come direct out of the BiggerPockets forums. They are quick questions, quick answers that we're going to fire at you. You ready?
Yep.
All right, number one, I'm halfway through my college degree, but I'm no longer excited about that career. I want to get into real estate instead. Should I finish college or drop out?
I think I actually answered this question on the forums.
Oh, really?
So what I said was, try it out first. It's the summer right now, and I think he mentioned that he wanted to try out being a real estate agent. So I suggest getting your license. It doesn't really take that long, and try it out either in the summer or while you're in college, because you do have some spare time in college.
Yep.
So see if you actually like it, and then drop out. Like when I started, I still had my full-time job for the whole year. I really only stopped November of last year. So it was like a whole year of doing the real estate thing and my full-time job. And then I let the full-time job go. So try both and then do it.
Great advice. Great advice. Yeah, a lot of people are just like, I'm going to quit because I'm going to be a huge real estate investor. And they discover that they suck at it and they hate it. And it's like, oh, now what? Well, I had this job where I was supporting myself. Now I'm in trouble. So, all right, next question. Similar. Well, not similar, but I'm 21 years old.
Good job.
And,
you can drink, Josh. Good job. Congratulations.
Thank you. That was half a lifetime ago. I'm 21 years old and having a really hard time saving money for my first deal. Living paycheck to paycheck. Any advice?
I would read Scott Trench's book. It's called Set for Life.
Oh, yeah.
He has a lot of pretty good ways to save and look at your budget and things like that. But I started just like you. I was a broke college student and with lots of student loan debt. So I suggest looking at what you're spending things on, get an extra, part-time job, and just start saving.
Love it.
Awesome. And you can go to setforlifebook.com to,
really?
Yeah.
Fancy. I didn't know we had that URL.
Wow,
look at us.
Look at that.
Look at Josh spending $9 a year on a domain. Wow. This is impressive.
Wow.
I can't believe they got you to do that. Wow.
What?
All right, moving on. Setforlifebook.com.
Are you trolling me?
No,
Is that what's happening
no,
here?
I'm not trolling you.
Why do I put up with you?
I don't know. Number 3.
Yeah, sad.
I'm moving into a new primary residence. How do I decide whether to turn my house into a rental or sell it?
Look at, I guess, the cash flow that you would generate, and make sure you run the numbers as if you weren't, you're not the project manager and you're allotting for all the repairs and capex and things like that, and then see if you actually will cash flow.
Okay.
That's the first step. And then if you will, then consider, will it be better to sell it? If you're going to get some capital gains, you might just want to use the Section 121 exclusion. If not, then maybe keep it as a rental.
Cool. And that's where if you live in a house for a couple of years, you potentially, I'm not giving CPA, I'm not giving tax advice, but you potentially do not have to pay taxes, capital gains on any profit you make up to $250,000 or $500,000 if you lived in the property a couple of years. Of course, talk to your CPA about that, but that's what you're talking about, right?
Yes.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that would have sounded really stupid if not. All right. Number 4.
I mean, that's a given, but yeah, let's get to the next question here, which is, I'm super introverted. Clearly.
Can
I still invest in real estate?
Yes, I am actually super, super, super introverted. Um, so that was the one great thing about BiggerPockets too. If it didn't exist, I'm not really sure if I would have learned as much as I did in the first few months. And like I said, the first lender I used was from BiggerPockets. Really, my first mentor was on BiggerPockets. I learned about delayed financing on BiggerPockets. You can, and BiggerPockets gives you like a whole network there as an introvert. Like I didn't really want to just show up at a party and talk to people.
Yeah.
But I could message people and like get to know them first before meeting them for coffee. So yes, you can. You will have to push yourself, but you're gonna get better at it and just use your strengths to your advantage.
I love that. Use your
Fantastic.
strengths to your advantage. That I think that's huge. By the way, Josh, I got a new idea for a slogan.
I was just going to ask, what do you do when you have no strengths like Brandon?
You find them.
You find them, All right, BiggerPockets, real estate investing for introverts, right there. That is our new company slogan. All right.
Yeah.
That was
We're
the
gonna
end of the
dominate
fire
the
round.
world.
Yeah, we are. There's a lot of introverts out there. I'm actually super introverted,
Really?
as Josh knows, right? You put me in a
So
group of
here's what
people.
happens. You go to a party, you have 100 people in the room. Brandon is easily found hiding behind a tree or in the corner.
That's hard.
I stand.
BS.
Right.
He literally stands there. It doesn't hurt that he's 9 feet tall, but he
Exactly.
literally stands there and waits for people to come to him. He will not go up and talk to random people. It's
I
I'll hide
do it.
behind Brandon.
Okay, you can come up. We'll hide in the corner. We'll have really good conversation with like 2 or 3 people in the corner. That's where you guys can
Okay.
find me. All right, let's move over to the last segment of the show, which we call our. Were you talking smack?
What?
What? Which we call our famous four.
Oh, yeah. I'm on. Famous four!
You're so off. All right, the famous four. These are the 4 questions we ask every guest every week, and let's see what you got to say. So, Arianne, what is your favorite real estate related book?
There's a couple. So Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and Set for Life. So read those 2.
First time somebody's mentioned Set for Life as their favorite book, which is awesome. I'll have to let Trench know. All
Yes,
right.
it is. Awesome. Favorite business book, non-real estate.
Procrastinate on Purpose by Rory Vaden.
Never
So
heard
it
of
just
it.
helps you think about your time a little bit in a perspective.
Cool.
Ooh,
I love new recommendations.
Yeah, for sure. Hobbies. What do you do for fun outside of real estate and
I love-
traveling to see your family, by the way?
Okay, so we love travel, and my husband and I are foodies too. So whenever we travel, we plan our route around restaurants that we like. We also like snowboarding. I'm not very good at it yet, but we're learning, and we're gamers too. So of the online nerd variety.
What's your favorite game?
Oh,
Right now we're playing Overwatch.
Huh? I've heard of it, not played it, but
It's a first-person shooter.
nice. I'm still on first person like GoldenEye and 64.
yeah, that was the
That was-
last shooter game I actually played. It was
That was the
GoldenEye.
best shooter game of all
Oh
time.
my God, it was
I'm
amazing.
I'm
I'll
gonna
have
say
to look that up.
Yeah, look that. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, you'll find it in the history books.
Yeah. All right. Last question for me of the day, and last question of the famous 4. What do you believe sets apart successful investors from those who give up, fail, or never get started?
I think just having a strong why and always going back to it. So really persistence and a strong why. Because in this business, you get, like I said, punched in the face a lot,
Yeah.
and you really need to stand up. So go back to your why and figure out why you're doing this and stand back up.
I love it.
Wow. Great. And that explains
Yeah.
everything. I mean, Brandon, you look the way you look because you've been in this business for so long.
I've been punched in the face so many times that,
It shows.
chicks dig scars. All right.
All right,
This is awesome.
Arianne, where can people find out more about you? How can they sync up with you?
I'm actually always on BiggerPockets, so go to my profile there. My company also has a Facebook page, facebook.com/GHhouses. And yeah, you'll
Awesome.
find it there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you for putting all the time back and giving back to BiggerPockets. Congrats on all the success you've had so far, and we really appreciate having you on the show.
Well, thank you very much for having me. And again, I probably wouldn't be here without BiggerPockets. So
Well, thank you.
thanks to you guys.
All right.
All right. Take
All right.
care.
Take care, Arianne. All right, guys, that was Arianne. Wow, great show. And
was awesome.
she just dove in, right? And made things happen.
And so many newbies, I feel like, don't do that. They like put their little pinky toe in, and then they're like their foot maybe, and then like wait like 5 years, and then maybe do a little more. She's like, no, I have a very strong reason. I want to get out of my job. I want to get that done now. And she jumped in and just went, just deep into real estate, and I love that. I love people that do that. So good job, Arianne. You're awesome.
Yeah.
Well.
Oh yeah. Anyway. I'm
going to keep going?
I'm just messing with everybody. No. Anyway, great show. So guys, again, if you didn't pay attention to that segment on finding your why and you don't know your why, I really, really encourage you to do that.
Why, Josh? Why?
Why are we here? Because we're here. Roll the bones, Brandon.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, that's a lyric from Rush.
I don't know what that means.
Bands of all. You don't know Rush?
Who's Rush?
Oh, stop! You seriously don't know Rush?
Isn't that like what you like Rush Week at like fraternities?
Like
isn't that a thing?
Tom Sawyer, like Geddy Lee with the super high pitch, like a modern day warrior. No, I just butchered it. I just ruined one of the greatest songs ever.
You do that quite often.
Saying 3 words.
All right, I know who Rush is. I could not name a single song. Even though you just named one, I couldn't name it again.
Tom Sawyer.
No.
Yes,
I know a book called Tom Sawyer, or a character in a book.
Yeah, well, that was the book titled Huckleberry Finn.
Wasn't there a couple ones? I'm guessing there's one called like Tom Sawyer and another one called
I'm
Huckleberry.
Totally wrong here. So.
All right, someone's got to correct us. Go on, I don't know, Twitter and hit up Josh and me and let us
Brandon
know. At Brandon at BP and at JR Dorkin. Let us know. Are there multiple Tom Sawyer books, or is there just one?
We can just as easily go on Google and look, but you just want people to tweet you.
I want people to tweet me. Let's get out of here.
All right. Hey, guys,
thank
you so much for listening.
Bye.
Show 233 of the Bigger Pockets podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, I'm Josh Dorkin. That's Brandon Turner. Peace.
No signing off? Weird.
I'm signing off.
You're listening to Bigger Pockets Radio, simplifying real estate for investors large and small. If you're here looking to learn about real estate investing without all the hype, you're in the right place. Be sure to join the millions of others who have benefited from BiggerPockets.com, your home for real estate investing online.
It's time for the Random 5. All right, and it's time for the Random 6, which used to be the Random 5, but now the Random 6. We're going to ask you some quick questions, just completely random. Number 1. Name a public figure that has inspired you.
Wow. Jose Rizal is the national hero of the Philippines.
I've heard the name. I don't know the story, but that's cool.
I have not, but cool.
I'll look it up on Wikipedia later. All right.
There you go. All right. Can you solve a Rubik's Cube?
No, I cannot. I've tried.
Aw.
Me neither.
I can't either. I'm learning. My daughter's better than I am, but yeah, I'm getting there.
Number 3, do you shout out the answers at the TV when you're watching a quiz show or like a game show on TV?
I think I do. It's been a while since I watched a game show, but I think I used to.
All right.
Nice.
I do too.
All right. If you could go back in history, who would you like to meet?
All these history questions. So when I lived in New Zealand, there was supposed to be this guy named Guy Fawkes who I think put a bunch of fireworks in the parliament or something.
Yeah, they made the movie V for Vendetta kind of loosely about that. Yeah.
So I would like to meet that guy. He sounds pretty cool.
The guy with the mask,
The
right?
mask comes through. Yeah, that's the Guy Fawkes mask is what V for Vendetta uses. Anyway, good movie. Yeah. Cool. All right, good answer. Next one. If you could try out any job for a day, what job would that be?
I think I'll be a Bigger Pockets co-host.
Nice.
Oh, look at that.
Taking my job.
You know what? There might be a job for more than a day.
I have a better internet connection.
Yeah, you probably do.
Burn.
I'm working off my phone today. My stupid internet went out. I don't know. Last night I was having problems, and today it's just gone. So I'm tethering on my phone. Whatever. All right. Last question.
Last question. Do you live by any motto or philosophy?
A motto. I'm not very good with words, but if there is a motto to my existence, it's probably just keep trying.
Okay. I
like
think
it.
that's fair. I dig it. I dig it for sure.
All right. Well, thank
All
you
right,
very
thanks, Arianne.
much.
All right, thanks for having me.